Jalen Wright, I think, could be a sneaky pickup.
He's probably going to be the number one waiver wire pickup across all the boards.
Now the trade talk, we're putting our GM hats on. Devontae Adams. He has huge upside if he goes to the Jets.
Brock Bowers. I just want to pick a guy up at that position that I can plug in and not have to worry about it.
Terry McLaurin. I don't know if they're going to be this great the whole year.
That's an actual great trade away.
Would you trade Tyreek for T?
Oh, yes. In a heartbeat.
Okay.
In a heartbeat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Catching a Vibe. I'm your host, Drew. I got the co-host back, Mike. Week 5 is here, guys, and today we're going over the waiver wire guys you need to pick up. Then we're going to talk some trades. Guys who you should try to get from your league mates, or guys you should trade to your league mates. Try to take advantage of them. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm kind of excited about this waiver wire week. There's some good players out there. So I hopefully we can give you some help on who you look at out there on the waiver wires.
All right. So we're going to start with the waiver wire. My first guy, I'm going Jalen Wright, the Dolphins rookie running back. Versus the Patriots, he had 13 carries, 86 yards. Devon Achane got a concussion in the first quarter. So we got to see what Jalen Wright is as a player, and he did pretty well. 86 yards, he's a fast guy. He runs a 4.38 40-yard dash. He's very physical, too. If you watch the game, he was running efficient up the middle, and he looked pretty good. He's rostered in 8% of leagues, and I think it's going to be him and Achane the rest of the year rather than Mostert. I think Mostert's going to be the odd man out because of his age. So Jalen Wright, I think, could be a sneaky pickup.
Definitely a sneaky pickup. I agree with the age and injury prone with Mostert. So they definitely like the speedy, fast guys that can run out and catch the ball. They want to get these guys in open space and run all over the place. So I agree. Okay, so my waiver wire guy, some of you may have picked him up and dropped him because he didn't do much, but I still want to talk about Isaiah Likely from the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, this guy is on the field and out-snapping Mark Andrews. He was on the field 55 plays out of 78, and Mark Andrews is 43 plays. So this guy is out there putting up numbers, and I think he's a more athletic player than Mark Andrews. Something's wrong with Mark Andrews. I'm just not seeing it out on the field. So especially at this tight end position, you want guys in there that are grabbing touchdowns, and he had 2 touchdowns last weekend. So I like Isaiah Likely.
That's a good one. I bet a bunch of people did drop him because the past 3 weeks he was only getting 1 catch.
Yeah.
It was weird. But all right, my second guy, I'm going Josh Downs, the Colts receiver. Second year, he's rostered in 34% of leagues. He's been very good the past 2 weeks with Flacco. Shout out Joe Flacco. Versus Pittsburgh, he had 9 targets, 8 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Then last week, he had 12 targets, 9 catches for 69 yards. He looks like Flacco's go-to guy. He has more targets than Pittman does. And the question is, how long is Anthony Richardson out for? And are they going to go back to him? Because the Colts look so much better with Flacco in.
They definitely look more capable in a bigger playbook with Joe Flacco running the helm at the Colts. So, yeah, I like Josh Downs too. He's definitely was the guy come in a little banged up, and now he's getting back into playing speed. So, yeah, he's definitely worth picking up. I agree with you there. So my guy is Michael Wilson from Arizona Cardinals. He had 6 targets, 5 catches for 78 yards. And Arizona's running a lot out of 3 receiver sets. He was out on the field 50 plays out of a total 59. That's 85%. Michael Wilson's out on the field. I love that, right? He's had 22 targets over 3 games. So he's getting the looks, and he's definitely in the red zone. He's a big threat kind of guy. So I like Michael Wilson. I think you should go out and grab him up because Kyler Murray's looking like he's throwing the ball around and opening up the play, running around, and he's definitely worth picking up.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a good one there. All right, my third guy, I'm going Caleb Williams. A bunch of people dropped him because he was underperforming, but I think this is where he turns the corner and shows why he was the first overall pick. He looked really good against the Panthers. He completed 69% of his passes, 304 yards, and 2 touchdowns to DJ Moore. Love that because I have DJ Moore on my fantasy team. The next week, he plays the Jags, and the Jags defense can't stop a nosebleed. And I think Caleb, it looked like he was getting his confidence back, and that's key for quarterbacks. Like, it's 80% mental, I feel like, for quarterbacks.
For sure. He's got to make that transition from college ball to pros where you're playing against elite athletes, and he's starting to slow down the gameplay and looking so much better. Chicago's definitely a better team. I agree. Caleb Williams is, if you don't have him, he's worth putting on your team and rostering because some of these main guys, starters, aren't putting up the big numbers. So I agree. Here's another guy I've talked about in a couple weeks past, Jalen Tolbert from Dallas Cowboys. With Brandon Cooks out, this guy is going to get a lot of looks his way. I'm going to beat on this guy's drum because I think he's better than Brandon Cooks. And Dallas has to throw the ball to stay in these games. Their defense is beat up. They're not slowing anyone down. So I want him on my team. And he's only he's less than 20% owned in most leagues.
Yeah.
And why people don't have him on their roster is crazy. I think he's well worth putting on your team.
That's a good one. All right. My fourth guy, I'm going to Tank Bigsby. Had a huge game against the Colts. He had 13 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Could he be taking ETN's spot? It's possible. ETN only has one more year left on his contract, so the Jags could walk away from him if they like Tank better. And Tank has been producing with the amount of snaps and carries he's gotten this year.
Yeah, so last week he had 13 carries. He produced 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those are great numbers. He shows that he can be a lead back in this league. And they talk a lot about him coming into the year thinking he was pretty good. So he was out on the field 23 of 58 snaps, one more snap than ETN. So I agree. He was one guy I had wrote down. He's a pretty obvious choice. He's probably going to be the number one waiver wire pickup across all the boards. I agree. I think he's a good pickup. One guy I kind of just want to keep mention out there is Tyrone Tracy from the Giants. He looked pretty good. Singletary's a little banged up. He went out there and he had a good game. He had 18 carries, 129 yards, and one catch. So I just want to throw his name out there as somebody to look at, somebody for you to go out and grab if you're kind of hurt at the running back position.
That's a good one. All right, now the trade talk. We're putting our GM hats on. So 3 guys to trade for. I'm going to start with my first guy. I'm going Davante Adams. Some of his fantasy owners are probably frustrated, like this guy's just sitting. He's not even suiting. So they could be 1-4 or 2-3. And they might be okay moving on from him. He has huge upside if he goes to the Jets because Aaron Rodgers and him already have that connection. And he could finish, or he could be a solid receiver too the rest of the year if he goes to the Jets.
Yeah, we all know how talented Davante Adams is, and a new scenery for him, I think you're right, is going to bring out the superstar that he was. So I definitely agree with Davante Adams. I like him too. So my first guy I want to trade for is he's just getting back into the gameplay, Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers. We're maybe a week too late because he blew up this last week. He had 12 targets, 8 receptions, 147 yards. So he's getting back into the gameplay. He missed all preseason. He sat out all that. So I think he's getting ramped up. He's getting back into football shape. And I think the sky's the limit for this guy. I think he's going to take that dominant wide receiver position on the team. So Brandon Ayuk is somebody I want to trade for because he played 59 of 64 snaps. Debo's out there 52%. He's already out snapping him, and I think he's got a little more boom potential than Debo Samuel. He's that deep threat guy.
All right, my second guy, I'm going DK Metcalf. Just had a pretty bad game against the Giants. He's receiver 11 still. And I think he has a really good chance to end up as a top 10 fantasy receiver this year. He's had 3 games already with over 15 plus. And he's not that like big name. Like some guys might just be like, "Oh, DK," or he's projected 15 points a game on ESPN. So they might be like, okay, if you trade running back 2 for DK, because I would do that in a heartbeat for how talented DK is.
Right. I mean, a wide receiver position most often scores more points than a running back. So if you can go and bolster your receiver position, it is a good spot to pick up and help out if you're kind of weak or you have some injuries that banged up at the receiver position. He is definitely a talented receiver. I like him as well. So my second trade for Brock Bowers. I know he's another guy that we're kind of late on the scene, and I just want to pick a guy up at that position that I can plug in and not have to worry about it. The tight end position is the hardest position to put up points, and he's putting up points. So I love Brock Bowers. I mean, let's look at it. He had 12 targets this last game, 8 receptions, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. He's the number 1 tight end at that position. He's number 1. I want that guy because I can't trust Mark Andrews or some of these other guys out there. They're not putting up the production. And especially if Devontae Adams leave, he's going to be that safety net for the quarterback. Whoever that's going to be, Brock Bowers is a guy and at that tight end position that I want to put in my lineup and not have to worry about it because he's going to produce for you. So I want to trade for him.
Yeah. All right, my third guy is a tight end. I'm going Tucker Kraft. With how bad the tight ends have been, he's tight end 3 right now. It's extremely valuable to have like one of the best fantasy tight ends. The last 2 games, he scored 17.3, then 24.8. And the starting tight ends averaged 10 points this week. So you get that boost from that position. That's going to help you a bunch, man.
Yeah. I agree. That's why I went with Brock Bowers. That tight end position has been so weak the start of this year that if you can get that guy that you put in and forget about it, that position, that's gold for me. So my third guy that I want to trade for is T. Higgins. All right. I mean, he's another guy that we might be a little late, but if you can go out there and trade for this guy, Cincinnati looks great. They're throwing the ball all over the place. He's kind of about the forgotten guy with Jamar Chase on the team, but I think he's going to produce. I think Jamar might have a down game, and that means T. Higgins is going to have a big game. The next couple of games coming up for T. Higgins, they play the Giants, and they're not good. Cleveland's defensive backfield's in shambles. That team looks like could be the worst team in the league. Philly's defense has given up a lot of points, and they play the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. There's 4 good games for you. I want to trade for this guy. In the last 2 weeks, T. Higgins has 24 targets. So he's getting looks. If he starts producing, he's going to put up big numbers for you. I want to trade for T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I want to stockpile and have my number 2 solidified in my lineup as being T. Higgins.
That's a great one. All right, so now these are the guys you should trade away while their value is high. And my first guy, I have Terry McLaurin. Terry's stock is very high right now. The past 3 games, he scored 20, 18, and 13. Jaden Daniels looks like the real deal. And Terry's the number 1 guy. The Commanders have scored on every drive when they've been in the red zone. How insane is that?
Yeah.
You want any Commanders player right now with how they're scoring. So I think you could get a good player for Terry McLaurin. I don't know if they're going to be this great the whole year, but right now, I say Terry's definitely a good option.
That's an actual great trade away, really, because at some point these guys are going to come down a little bit. Jaden Daniels playing out of his mind. Terry McLaurin is looking great. I think he's good if you can climb another ladder with getting a better player for him. So I agree, he's a good trade away. So my trade away is a running back, Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, I'm worried about the offense. I think that he's that running back that's solid enough to go out and trade for and kind of get a better player for his position. He's you can trade him for someone like Breece Hall, right, who's been looking terrible, or Bijan. They both, if you can trade him up to get one of those guys, and those two guys wake up, I think it's worth trying to trade away Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's one of my guys. I want to trade him away while he's high. He put up 19 points last week, so he's one guy. I'm worried about that offense.
Yeah. All right, my second guy, I'm going Tony Pollard. Pollard's been really good this year. He scored 18, 15, 6, and 18. They just had their bye week. So he's been good in every game except for one. He's projected a top 20 running back in a week-to-week basis. You probably drafted him late, so I think you could get a good receiver for him, and that's awesome value. Plus, I don't trust this Titans offense led by Mayo Man Will Levis. So I see his production dipping a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. Tony Pollard is the Titans offense isn't one of the top tier offenses. If you can trade him and upgrade him, I think that's what we're trying to accomplish here with these trading away these guys.
Yeah.
So my guy is Rico Dowdle, who just had a big night last night. I mean, let's face it, the running back position at Dallas is so inconsistent. I'm going to trade him away while he's high because people still hold value to the Dallas offense. So if you can get something better for him, I would try and trade him away. I wouldn't trade him away for a bag of chips, but I would try to get him out there and see what you can get for him. Maybe upgrade a little bit at the receiver position or the running back position. Right now, I'm going to strike while he's hot.
That's a good one. All right, my last guy to trade away is Kyler Murray. He's QB6 right now. And I feel like this Cardinals offense is underrated. They're averaging 25 points a game. Kyler is completing 68% of his passes, 972 yards, and he's averaging 50 yards rushing a game. So we're getting the old Kyler, and he's majority a lot of people's backup quarterback. So if there's a league mate that's struggling at the quarterback position, and there's a lot of quarterbacks struggling right now, the guys who drafted early, I'd say trade Kyler and maybe get a good running back or receiver. That would be awesome. Or even an elite tight end.
Right. So I agree with Kyler. He's an inconsistent guy. He puts up one big number and then he has a down game. He's one of those guys that, at the QB position, if you can get something for him, I would trade him away because let's face it, you can go get Joe Flacco to put up 20 points for you.
Or Andy Dalton.
Or Sam Darnold. Any of these guys can put up 20 points for you. So if somebody out there, a league mate in your league that wants a quarterback and you can trade him away to get a better skilled position like receiver or running back, I would agree with trading away a quarterback because right now it seems like you can plug that position in off a waiver wire. So my third guy is going to be Tyreek Hill. All right. Wow. There's no guaranteed that Tua comes back, or if he does come back, he's going to be good. He's going to play good.
Yeah.
Tyreek's, the only way he puts up big numbers is if Tua's healthy and he's looking good. I think this is the year that Tyreek's going to be down. I'm just worried about him. So if I can take Tyreek Hill, I want to trade for somebody on a better offense like Jamar Chase, right? Joe Burrow's looking like Joe Breezy. I mean, he's throwing the ball all over the place. I want to get rid of Tyreek Hill and upgrade just a little notch higher for a better receiver and a better offense. So he's my guy I'm worried about. It might be hard to get that value out of him. You might have to, 2-for-1 kind of trade. But I would try to trade for Chase or CeeDee Lamb. You know, he's one of those guys that I like him. He gets the ball thrown to him, and he's got a better quarterback situation.
What about T. Higgins?
I like both of them. I like both of them.
No, I'm saying would you trade Tyreek for T?
Oh, yes. In a
You would?
heartbeat.
Okay.
In a heartbeat. I definitely would trade Tyreek Hill for T. Higgins. That's a good question. Yeah, he's one of the guys I want to trade for. So
Yeah.
if you want Tyreek Hill, I'm gladly trading him up for him.
All right. So that wraps up the week 5 video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like. If you're new here, subscribe. We'll be back next week. We'll see you next time. Peace.